a tag about death. Do I think about...
Are you even looking at this thing? It's got death written all over it.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Gareth. The channel's Books, Songs and Other Magic, and this is a tag, but it's a very unusual tag. A very unusual tag. And it's a tag that kind of muses on death and therefore life. It's created by Polyglot Reading. Awesome channel, a channel I need to check out more. But Polyglot Reading created the tag. I was definitely tagged by at least one person. I can't find who it is. So I apologize if you need to be mentioned. Well, you do need to be mentioned. Can you say in the comments below if you tagged me, and I'll put it in the description box, because you need to be tagged, obviously. So thank you for tagging me, whoever that was. It's a really interesting and quite different kind of tag. So I'll do my best to answer these questions, and I'll probably do a follow-up tag. Sorry, not a follow-up tag, a follow-up video, which will be based around belief and some of the books I've been reading. And I'll probably do a video on some recommended books relating to atheism as well. So, the first question, how many books will you read before you die? Clearly not enough. We have got a very short life. I am now 52, so I'm probably beyond half of my life now. I'm unlikely to live past 104. It's an interesting one because I never used to even think about it. And I think about it more since there's been like an hourglass given to me through being ill for the first time, proper ill. I've been very lucky in my life, but I got very ill 3 years ago, and I did nearly die, and it was very scary. I did a video on it. Some people have seen that. Some people said I was lying in the video, which is very weird. Anyway, it was a very serious moment in my life, but I have been very lucky. So it was the first time I'd come across that sort of thing. And while I was in the hospital dealing with that, I was told I had diabetes. And I was told that if I didn't control my diet or change my diet, I would have risk of a stroke or heart attack. That's the two big things, heart attack or stroke. I haven't changed my diet in the way that I've eradicated those risks, and I can't eradicate those risks. So those risks are still there. So mortality has become a lot more real for me. So I'm also at the age where I've lost friends, I've lost family members. That's getting more and more frequent. I remember when I used to work in the specialist record shop that was specialised in classical music and jazz. That was like its specialism. My regular customers were mostly in their 50s and 60s. And they used to say, oh, we're at an age where all our friends, we keep going to funerals, more and more funerals. And that is definitely the case for me. It'll get more like that in the next 10 years, I would have thought. I'd love it if I can last another 10 years. I don't know. This question about how many books I'm going to read, really, it's a bigger question about how much time am I going to enjoy? Because it's not just about the books for me. There's lots I want to do. I want to write stuff as well. I want to write books. I want to go to concerts. Live music is the best thing ever. I want to go to live music, concerts. And that it's never too late to see a hero. I mean, in August, I'm going to see Billy Joel. I never thought I'd see him. There's lots of people I'd love to see. But again, some of my heroes are dying anyway, from that perspective as well. How many books do you think you will read? So, I could go next month. Who knows? I read between 70 and 80 books a year. If I last another 10 years, then that's another 800 books, which is cool. If I don't last another year, then obviously it's less than that. So it's a funny old question. I get why people have. I get why it's there, because some people read really quickly and are always aware that they need to, do this as fast as possible. I don't think it's very positive, really, to give yourself all that pressure. But clearly, I do track my reading because I want to read as much as I can, and I think Goodreads is good for that. And if you feel like, oh, I haven't read many books this month, you can kind of think, is that because I can give it time or because circumstances? Is there other reasons why I didn't read that many that month? It's kind of good to reflect sometimes because you do have to make time to read. So how many books will I read before I die? I don't know, but I am always living the best, most fruitful, most constructive, most enjoyable day I can every day. Genuinely try and do that every day. And I have done for most of my life. So there's another video coming up later in the year where I talk about a very serious moment in my life where I thought about suicide. It was recorded ages ago, just when I thought I could do it without getting upset, and I've scheduled it for later in the year. I did it for a specific reason, which you'll know when you watch the video. But ever since that day when I started getting a new take on life, it took me a good year or so to get over that state of mind, really, and go into a new state of mind. But once I was in that state of mind, I think it actually helped me to enjoy life more and to appreciate life more. So I think that's an interesting thing that's kind of happened as well. Plus, as I said, I have been lucky and I've been able to enjoy life in a healthy way as well. I've got issues health-wise, but nothing serious really, except now, obviously, now I've got the diabetes thing, so that can be a thing. So yeah, there we go. How many books will I read? I don't know, but I do live every day as much as I can. Second prompt is, how do you choose your books relating to how you might die any moment? I think I have to still remain ignorant of the whole question of death when I'm choosing my books. Otherwise, I don't know, do you just pick short books? Do you just pick books you feel like you should read? I don't know. How do you choose your books? I choose my books in various different ways according to that moment in time. So sometimes I read something that I've been dying to read, just haven't got around to it. Sometimes something's news come out and I want to read it. Sometimes it'll be a book event. Sometimes I'm buddy reading something. Not that often. I haven't done that many buddy reads, but I liked it when I've done it. Sometimes it's, trying to reread something from a favourite author. I will say I try not to do as much of that. So there's some people on BookTube that do tons and tons of rereading. I think there's so many books out there that I'm only going to do that sometimes for some books. But yeah, how I choose my books is definitely not related to the fear of the river Styx. I'm not going to choose my books according to me imagining a very short life. I can't see that as being very positive. Question number 3, what will happen to your book collection? I don't think most of my immediate family would want my books. My son isn't really a massive reader. My wife isn't a massive reader. My daughter is, but I don't think she reads the same thing. She might pick a few things out, but yeah, I think they'll just sell them. So there's some good stuff in my collection, but yeah, I think I'll just sell them. Number 4, is there a book that helps you deal with death? I think about belief, religion, the afterlife a lot, and I am interested in books about that, but not from a believer perspective, but from an unbeliever perspective. I find it fascinating. I don't know if that helps me deal with death or not. I don't know if there is a book that helps me deal with death. I think it's a good thing to think about, but not in a negative, morose way. I don't know a book that helps me deal with death. I don't think I have a book that helps me deal with death, really. The 5th question, which book on this topic is the most entertaining? So I'm going to give a shout out to this book. So this is a book by Jose Saramago, and it's called, in this country, in Britain, it was called Death at Intervals. And I think the literal translation is Death Without Interruptions, or Death with Interruptions, sorry. Death with Interruptions. It's a great book. I like Saramago a lot. I've got tons of stuff to read by him, actually, besides the ones I have read. But he's one of my favorite authors just because of the ones I've read. And this book is a really interesting one. So basically, people stop dying. And the book explores lots of different consequences of the halt on people dying. And then basically, after a while, after Saramago's explored that for a bit, death returns. And she comes back saying that her experiment's finished, and she has decided that rather than just take people to death, she will send them a letter first, a violet-coloured letter saying that it's their time, and she feels like that's the best way of doing it. And then there's someone who just keeps returning the letters, and it kind of develops from there. I won't give you any spoilers about what happens after that, but it's a lovely book. It's a really good book. I really like it. Saramago's got a very special way of writing, which could be difficult to read. But if you get over that, man's brilliant at thinking up ideas, and it explores it really well in that book. So yeah, I'll definitely recommend that book. I'll also say that I wrote my own take on death in my first short story collection. So this collection was called 10 Tales of Transformation, and I wrote a story called We Need to Talk. And it was my take on that classic trope of death visiting an old person to basically take them away. I chose to write that story just to explore the idea of what life is for. What is the meaning of life? What's the point of life? So that's what I wanted to do in that story. So if you're curious, We Need to Talk is in that collection. I did record an audio version of it with a friend, but it's not right, so I need to do it again. But I'd like to do an audio version of that story. It's not too long, and I think it will work as an audio thing. So I am going to do that at some point, like I did with Ethel Pinchworthy. So yeah, there's a story out there called We Need to Talk by me about death. So number 6 is what non-fiction book on death would you recommend? So this isn't necessarily a book about death, because I haven't got any examples because I haven't really explored non-fiction books about death, but I have explored books about the afterlife and belief, religion, atheism, that kind of thing. And I'm currently reading a book that I would definitely recommend. It's a brilliant book, and I will do a fuller video about the book once I've finished it, and that's called God and Anatomy, and it's about God's place in society and how we've created him, and what God's makeup is historically. It's a really good book, so definitely recommend that. The 7th prompt is, do you have a favorite witty quote about death? And I can't get past the one quote I think about, which is Woody Allen saying, I'm not scared about death, I just don't want to be there when it happens. Which is brilliant. It's almost philosophical, but clearly it's just silly. I'm not scared about death, I just don't want to be there when it happens. So he's good at those kind of things. But yeah, that was Woody Allen. And then number 8, do you feel uneasy about death? Big question. Do I feel uneasy about this whole subject, this whole topic? I don't feel uneasy. It's become more real to me now that I've been told something could happen. And I literally had this sort of ignorant bliss before 3 years ago. I never thought about death. I felt immortal, really, I guess, subconsciously. But now, subconsciously, I don't. I feel very mortal. So I want to live a good life. I want to live a long life. I want to live into my 80s, really, preferably. But we'll see. There's lots I want to do. I want to still be performing and singing into my 70s, hopefully. That was one of the things when I had that horrible case of COVID, and I couldn't talk, couldn't move very well, and I was terrified I wouldn't be able to sing again, because singing makes me happy. Singing is it's the thing that makes me most happy, singing. So I'd hate it if I got so old that I couldn't sing anymore. I can probably sing very quietly. I mean, I don't have to sing in public to be happy. I sing around the house all the time. I sing around the streets, sing around work, and they're all like, "Oh, see Gareth singing." I love singing. So I want to live a long life. I want to live a long, good life. So that's all part of it as well. So we'll see. But I'm not worried. I'm not worried about death. I'm worried enough to try and change my diet, but I'm only doing what I can do. I got really strict when I was given the diagnosis, and I was really, really unhappy. I didn't really want to talk about diabetes on the channel, partly because of my own approach to the whole thing, because I'm not doing it properly. I haven't signed up to an organization, which frustrates my wife, an information and support organization. I haven't done that. I know which foods are better for me than others, and I do what I can. But you guys know I love biscuits, and I'm eating a lot of sugar-free biscuits or reduced sugar biscuits in between the other biscuits, and I'm eating less in general of biscuits, but not probably still more than an average person. So I do think anything like that, any worry about death and any health concerns has to be connected to quality of life. I don't want to be unhappy. So it's all about monitoring that, seeing if you can be just as happy by changing your habits, changing your lifestyle, stuff like that. So, that's a journey that we're all on, really, because we get little curveballs all the time. So for me, it was that, and I'm dealing with that all the time. It's not necessarily going to lead to an early death, but it's definitely something I need to think about. And I know there are people around me that do worry about that more than I do in some ways sometimes. Although I will reiterate that I do worry about that enough that I feel like I'm taking care of myself as much as I can. I'm not good at going to the doctors, but that's a different thing. But I don't feel uneasy about talking about death, to go back to the question. Bit of a ramble. And I do think it's a fascinating subject. I think it's an interesting subject for fiction. I think the afterlife and ghosts and the supernatural and some of the sort of parables and life lessons and philosophical aspects of religion are interesting. I think we all need to look after ourselves, but we all need to lead a good life. I'm getting towards, I haven't got any more prompts, so this is the end of the video, and I just think it's really important that we live the best life we can. Whatever it is that we enjoy, do it as much as you can. Whatever people that make you happy, be in their company as much as you can. Whatever things make you want to get up in the morning, do those things. If anything brings you down or gives you that, or sucks up your energy, or makes you feel bad, then life's too short, man. Just reduce your interaction with that kind of crap. Enjoy life, because it is a short one. Even if we have a long life, in the big old cosmos, it's still a very short amount of time. But hopefully we live as long as we can, and hopefully we live as long as we can. That's a naff phrase. Hopefully we live, a fruitful, enjoyable, and relatively long life. Here's to life. Hachayim. I love that song.
Paint me a picture